What's up? Welcome back to Offshore Audio. I'm Andrew. On this channel, we're bringing you tips and tricks to make you a better live sound engineer or to help you get started in your live sound engineering career. Today, I'm going to talk about amplifiers, that is power amplifiers, and connecting them up to speakers. I had a request to look at this, and it's a pretty complex subject, so we're going to be taking a bit of a general look at it, but I will be diving into various sort of more complicated topics like bi-amping. We'll talk a little bit about signal flow, how you're getting your sound from your mixer to the amplifier to the speakers, frequency suitability and crossovers, not sending all your high frequency content to your subs, also signal levels, making sure that you're sending the right signal level into the right piece of equipment, and also we'll have a little look at amp brands and their relationship with their speakers. But without further ado, let's dive in. So let's start by looking at this guy, right? This is just a straight up amplifier with no DSP. It has an on switch. It has 4 channels of amplification. It has volume dials, which are pretty much exclusively for the use here at my work, set to the maximum. It has a bunch of LEDs that show you when the signal is in, what level the signal is reaching. Forget about this panel here just now because that's a custom made panel, but let's turn it around and have a look at the back. Excuse the terrible lighting, but this is the back panel of the amplifier. And this is really pretty typical of the back panel of an amplifier. I said before it has 4 channels, right? So here are our 4 channels. We've got input for 1, output for 1, input for 2, output for 2, input for 3, output for 3, input for 4, output for 4. And it really is as simple as you take your mix. Let's say in this example, we're just going to use 2 speakers. That's the left and the right for our stereo speaker setup. So we're taking the left and the right out of the back of the mixer, and we just take the XLRs from the back of the mixer, and we would connect the first one into input 1 and the second one into input 2. So now the input signal is coming from our mixer. This is our mix left and right, and it's going into the amplifier. So it's really important to remember that this is a line level signal that comes out of the mixer. And now it's going to go into the amplifier, and the signal level is going to be brought up. It's going to be amplified so that it's powerful enough to drive the speakers, which is why we then use these speak-on cables, thicker, larger cables that deal with the higher energy levels to send the amplified sound from this amplifier to the speakers. So we take one end of our speak-on cable and we connect it to the output of channel 1. Push it in and twist it, and you'll hear it lock. This is now our left speak-on cable. So we would take the other end of the speak-on cable and we would connect that to the left-hand side of our PA system, and we would just do the exact same with the right-hand side. We take our speak-on and we connect it up. When this amplifier is turned on and we turn the fader up on our mixer, the sound will come into the amplifier on these 2 XLR cables. The volume will be turned up, and then the amplified signal will be sent down the speak-on cables to our passive speakers. So that's your straightforward amplifier. That's how you get sound coming out of speakers as quickly as possible using an amplifier and non-powered speakers. What I will say is that the connectors on the back of these amplifiers can change slightly, though the principles remain the same. You might find things such as banana connectors, or you could find pole connectors, or even phoenix connectors. Another really important thing is that your amplifier must be going into a non-powered speaker. I call them passive speakers in the video there just to keep things simple, but basically, if you have a speaker with a power amplifier inside of it, it won't want a signal from an amplifier. If you somehow manage to get the output of an amplifier into a powered speaker, you'll blow the speaker up. So just make sure that you're plugging into the right kind of speakers here. What's more, you need to know a little bit about the impedance characteristics of both the speaker input and the amplifier output. You can find this on the back of the speaker or in the manual or on the back of the amplifier. And a general rule of thumb I'm going to give you here, not really super detailed, but it's just match those numbers. If you have a 4 ohm output on the back of your amplifier, make sure it goes into a 4 ohm input on your speaker. And I'm going to say the same about power matching as well, though this is a far more complicated topic. If you look at your amplifier, you want to look for your continuous power output, so RMS power. And if that's outputting, say, 600 watts per channel, then you want to make sure that the speaker that you are looking at, that you're connecting it to, is also rated for 600 watts of power. To keep it easy, just don't mix and match these just now. By all means, feel free to read further into it. But let's move on to a more complicated system, because we haven't even talked about subs, right? 90% of sound systems that you come across are going to have a sort of sub and top setup, because subs are much better at reproducing those low frequencies. But it's not as simple as just hooking one up. Subs are dreadful at reproducing higher frequencies, and if you send all these high frequencies to the subs, you're going to cause this huge diaphragm to try and move at faster rates than it's designed for. You could break the speaker, or you'll just end up with horrible, nasty sound that's not got a nice tight low end. The same kind of goes for your tops. They're not designed to reproduce frequencies below a certain range. So what do we need? We need a crossover, right? And that is just simply a piece of equipment which takes your input signal, your mix, and it chops it in specific places. It says below a certain frequency for the subs, above a certain frequency for the tops. Now you can find this in an external piece of equipment, right? So you just plug the output of your mixer into this crossover, or a processor it might be called. The system processor is another word for these things. And then it divides the frequency up, and then you can take that signal further on, and you could use 2 power amplifiers, one for the tops and one for the subs. Now you've got that separation that you need to get a cleaner reproduction of your sound. But you can also run into crossovers on amplifiers with DSP. Let's look a bit more at that. These are amplifiers with DSP, digital signal processing. That just means that when the audio signal comes in here, there are some possibilities to change it before it is amplified and then sent further to the speakers. These are also a little more configurable than the last amplifier that we looked at. We can go into the menu and there are presets that we can load. So because this amplifier is made by Acoustics, it contains presets for all of their speakers. So if I am going to use this system with, for example, Siva by Acoustics, I can go to load preset factory, and then I just scroll through until I find the configuration that I want to use. And there we go. I found it, number 72, Siva. And what that's going to do is that is going to load certain settings into the DSP, the processing on this amplifier. It will load things like the recommended crossover set by the manufacturer for the speakers that you have selected. Similarly, on this second amplifier here, so this is 2 4-channel amplifiers. On this second amplifier here, I can select Siva Sub, which you'll see I've already done. What that means is that by selecting the tops on the first amplifier and the subs on the second amplifier, they will automatically set a crossover for these 2 speakers, which is complementary. If you want to find out the exact frequency of that, you can look up the manual. It just means that when you get a Acoustics system and you use Acoustics amplifiers, you can select the presets and more or less plug and play. But let's take a look at the back. So you'll notice a few different things about the input section on the back of this amplifier, right? First of all, there's a network connection here, which means that we can connect this to a computer and control all the DSP settings via computer, usually a lot easier than the front panel. Secondly, you might notice there are link outputs. These links here, you can see I'm taking an output of each channel and sending it onto the sub amplifier. So what happens here is I plug in my left and my right into input A and B, and then a copy of that signal is sent out to input A and B on the second amplifier, which, if you remember, I set up with the sub preset. Okay, so what did we do there? By loading these presets into the amplifier channels, we are automatically setting a whole host of parameters inside this DSP amplifier. Possibly one of the most important things that we've set by doing that is the crossover frequency. And the best thing about it is that we didn't even need to think about it. It's already been preset by the manufacturer. As long as we select the correct speaker for our amplifier channel and connect up properly, it will be receiving the correct frequencies. How great is that? It's worth also noting that it's not just branded amplifiers that have presets. And what I mean by that is it's not just Acoustics amplifiers that have Acoustics presets. Some third-party amplifiers have huge libraries of speakers that you can download and then load onto channels on the amplifier. So you never have to think about setting your crossover ever again. And if you're ever really curious about what the frequencies are and what the settings are in all these presets, you can just look up the manual. But I said in the beginning of the video, I was also going to dig a little bit into biamping and what that is. So let's have a look at this next bit. So here's our output section. There's 4 speak-ons here because we have possibility for 4 channel outputs. But you might notice something else written down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, but also 1, 2, 3, 4. So why is that? That's because these top two connectors here have the possibility to send out 2 channels of amplified sound on one cable. And to do that, we need what's called an NL4 cable, or a 4-core speaker cable. Let's have a look at that. So maybe you're thinking, this is just a speak-on cable. If you look closely at the connector, you might not be able to see that on the video, but it says NL4C on it. That tells you that this connector here has the possibility to have 4 lines connected to it. You need 2 poles or 2 cores to go from the amplifier to the speaker. But if you want to send 2 separate lines of audio, 2 separate sources along one cable, you need 4 poles. So if we just open this guy up, it's really easy, just screw it. And then you just pull it gently out of the casing. And if I remove this little protector, you can probably see now there are 4 separate connections here. Red, blue, brown, and white. So we know that this is an NL4 cable. That means that we can send 2 channels of audio on one speaker cable. And that's really important when you start getting into more sophisticated amplifiers. Now we're coming up to a concept which is active versus passive crossovers. So you might have thrown about words like active speakers versus passive speakers, and I know I have, and I still do. But essentially, what we need to think of is we need to think of powered speakers versus non-powered speakers. Powered speakers being speakers with the amplifier built in, non-powered requiring an external power amplifier, like the ones we've been talking about in this video. But another thing is active or passive crossovers. Think of a speaker that you would use as the top in your top sub configuration. Usually it has both a tweeter, the smaller section of the speaker that creates the really high frequency, and also a woofer, the bit that creates the low mid frequencies and the lower frequency range. Now these both require separate frequencies to be fed into them, just like the rest of our system that we talked about here. But what happens on a lot of these speakers is that they have what is called a passive crossover. That means that when you connect your speak-on cable into the back of them and you send your left side of your left-right mix, there are components inside that speaker that split the sound and send the right frequencies to each component inside the speaker. When we talk about an active speaker system, what happens is that we divide those high frequencies and mid frequencies before we send them to the speaker enclosure. So we still have one speaker enclosure, that is one speaker that we would call a top, but we have divided the frequencies even further from the sub-top thing. We've gone sub, and then we've also gone top, but inside top, we have gone top low and top high. You follow me? So what we do is we are now amplifying the mid frequencies and the high frequencies for that one top enclosure on separate channels. And then we are sending those channels to the enclosure on separate lines. And as you just saw there, we commonly do this on an NL4 cable, a 4-core cable. We have one connector, an NL4 connector, that we use to connect to the output of the amplifier. We send 2 distinct channels of audio down that cable. So that is the mid-range frequencies and the high-range frequencies down this one cable, one connector at the other side, NL4 connector, and we connect that into the enclosure. And then in that connection, it splits the frequencies apart, and the mid frequencies go to the woofer and the high frequencies go to the tweeter, the high frequency driver. If you're connecting stuff up like this, it's really worthwhile to note that not all NL4 connectors are connected to 4-core cables. So if you're going to be using a cable for this purpose, then please check the cable to make sure that it actually is a 4-core cable. This process I would call biamping. Maybe it's called different things in different parts of the world, but now you know about it. So I'll leave links to the diagrams that I've used in this video down below. You can take your time and have a look at them and try and get your head a little bit more around the signal flow. But let me know how you get on with power amplifiers and connecting up speakers. Have you ever had to hook up some bi-amp speakers before? Leave a comment down below, let me know. And if you found this video really helpful, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel and I'll give you more content like this. Like the video and let me know to keep making more stuff. Let me know if you want to see more videos about amplifiers or speakers or crossovers and all the like. For now, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.